Hello, everybody. I'm Svitlana Havrylenko, editor-in-chief of the Pharmaceutical Industry Review magazine. For more than 15 years, our media has been delivering information about technologies and innovations directed to the pharmaceutical developers and manufacturers, whether it's laboratory or company manager's desk. I'm here to greet all the participants of the online event Connect to Frankfurt, organized by CPHI worldwide. This exhibition, both online and in person, is an important event for meetings and networkings for all the members of the supply chain that helps to get access to the trend predictions and innovations. Therefore, I am particularly proud of the opportunity to present the Ukrainian pharmaceutical industry to specialists of various level and moderate the dedicated session. So the topic of our session today is the Ukrainian pharmaceutical industry, actual situation, challenges, and opportunities. Here, I would like to draw attention to what is currently happening in Ukraine, how our industry has changed specifically after the invasion of Russian Federation, how we are able to resist, what motivates us, and what are the prospects seen on the horizon. In order to have a complete picture, we invited representatives from different roles. Today, we have amazing names in the Ukrainian pharmaceutical industry. We will be joined by Oleksandr Komarida, First Deputy Minister of Health of Ukraine, who will tell us about provided support by the state bodies and what plans they have for future. Next, we will be joined by Iryna Gorlova, Director of analytic company SMD, with an overview of the industry for the first half of 2022. And then, using the examples of leading pharmaceutical companies like INTERCHEM, Lekhim, and Farmak, we will find out about the challenges on the field and what are the possible steps to solve them. So let's move to the agenda. Mr. Komarida will be the first to join, and Oleksandr, you have the floor.
Since the beginning of the full-scale war, the Ministry of Health of Ukraine has been working around the clock to provide the population with the medicines and access to the necessary medical services. This is facilitated by active cooperation and mutual support of the pharmaceutical business of Ukraine. From February 24, the Ministry of Health holds regular meetings with operators of the pharmaceutical market, manufacturers, distributors, and pharmacies to resolve problematic issues. During the period of martial law, the ministry maximally simplified all procedures related to the circulation of medical products, registration of drugs, prescription release from pharmacies, import into the territory of Ukraine, etc. Thanks to this, the entire supply chain of pharmaceutical products in Ukraine works stably, and patients receive the necessary drugs. The Ministry of Health has simplified the regulation of the circulation of medical products. It is about simplifying the registration of medicinal products, their prescription release from pharmacies, and the importation of both registered and unregistered medicinal products into the territory of Ukraine. This also applies to the state quality control and clinical trials, so that the entire supply chain of pharmaceutical products to Ukraine works and patients receive drugs in this difficult situation. To attract as many pharmaceutical manufacturers as possible to work during martial law, able to solve the problematic issues of drug logistics, dispensing, and storage of drugs, while maintaining their quality at each stage of circulation during martial law, the Ministry of Health allowed to sell medical products from one production license for the production of medicinal products within one pharmacy and/or retail trade of medicinal products to others with the right to further sell them. To be transported by public transport under conditions of compliance with the storage conditions specified by the manufacturer. To store medicinal products in warehouses, information about which is not stated in the license register for the production of medicinal products. For more prompt provision of medicines to defenders of Ukraine, medicine manufacturers, importers, and distributors are allowed to release medicines to military administrations, units of the armed forces of Ukraine, organizations and institutions that involve volunteers in their activities and provide humanitarian aid. Thanks to such changes, healthcare institutions will receive the necessary medicines, and the military and citizens will have simplified access to them. Another example of cooperation is the continued work of the Affordable Medicines Reimbursement Program. The program is aimed at meeting the needs of patients with the chronic diseases with the necessary drugs. It is implemented jointly with the National Health Service of Ukraine and partner pharmacies. Since the beginning of the full-scale war, the possibility for patients to receive drugs under the program has been simplified as much as possible. All drugs, including those for the treatment of diabetes, can now be obtained within the framework of the program in pharmacies with both paper and electronic prescriptions. This was the first thing that we done at the beginning of the war so that doctors could continuously prescribe drugs for patients and patients could get them from the pharmacies. Because in the conditions of war, technical problems with the internet or the operation of electronic programs are possible. Funding of the program does not stop, and pharmacies that have contracts with the National Health Service receive reimbursement for drugs dispensed both for electronic and paper prescriptions. Despite the war, we are developing opportunities for the pharmaceutical business and trying to support the national manufacturer in every possible way. After all, in the conditions of the war, the Ukrainian pharmaceutical industry showed itself the best side. The shipment of medicines did not stop for a single day. The Ministry of Health sent official letters to the structural units for healthcare in the regions with a request to increase the purchase of domestic medicines compared to foreign ones, because this allows not only to provide a wider range of patients with the necessary drugs, but also helps the domestic economy. In addition, the Ministry has prepared amendments to the regulatory acts regarding the prioritization of purchases of domestic medicinal products. The government, in their turn, included the pharmaceutical industry in the direction of the production of medicines and medical products among the priority sectors of the economy. Considerable work has been done to ensure uninterrupted access of Ukrainian citizens to medicinal products, thanks to the simplification of the procedure for putting them into circulation, including the possibility of placing products on the market without passing a conformity assessment, implementing the procedure for recognizing the conformity assessment carried out by the legislation of the European Union. During the meeting with the leadership of the World Health Organization, we voiced the request to simplify the pre-qualification conditions for Ukrainian drugs. We are currently conducting active negotiations with the WHO on how to help Ukrainian manufacturers to enter foreign markets, where pre-qualification is necessary. We also actively communicate with foreign countries, their ministries and pharmaceutical companies that export medicines for they want to do this, on one hand, to better understand what support they need, and on the other hand, to provide them with comprehensive information about the changes. In particular, Ukraine partially unblocked the export of blood products, which was suspended at the beginning of the war. Currently, our country has a sufficient supply of such drugs for domestic needs and for foreign market as well. We can help also in the coordination of export activities, since the chains of export of medicinal products from Ukraine have changed. They have become much more complicated due to the blocking of seaports, air transport, etc. We actively cooperating with the companies to find new markets and visit embassies and ministries of foreign affairs of countries in whose markets our pharmaceutical manufacturers are interested, so that they can organize the export of their products. We're grateful to our pharmaceutical partners for their help, because this is invaluable. Thanks to the help provided, we can treat and restore the defenders of Ukraine and take care of the lives and health of Ukrainians. I am sure that we will have the same fruitful interaction with the pharmaceutical industry after our victory in the war. And now, I thank you all for your active positions and desire to develop despite the circumstances, even in such stormy times.
Thank you, Oleksandr. I wish you success in reaching agreements with the World Health Organization and the ministries of the countries that which are in the scope of interest of our manufacturers. And we are moving on, and I invite Iryna Gorlova, director of analytical company SMD. Iryna, you have a word.
Hello, dear colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity to share information about Ukrainian pharmaceutical market in this hard war turbulence time. We prepared a presentation which will explain briefly what is happening right now in Ukraine. As you may know, Ukraine is a Central European country with a rather huge population of 41 million inhabitants. But for today, we have a lot of refugees due to the war. It is approximately 7 million citizens outside of Ukraine, and internally migrated population the same, almost 7.1 million inhabitants, which is a lot. Ukraine has a nominal GDP per capita $4.3 thousand, and in PP it is $14,000. We have rather big pharma market, relatively big for post-Soviet Union countries. It is equal to $2.6 billion in ex-distributors prices for before wartime. Of course, it declined during the wartime, but currently we have stabilization in a certain level. Our market is mainly out of pocket. We have a huge commercial segment of 61% and fast-growing state procurement, state purchase segment, 34%. We have reimbursement in place, which takes for the moment 6% of the whole market. Ukraine is known as a country with a strong local production, which has 71% in volume in the market and 37% in value. For the moment, we have no strict price regulation for the majority of products still on the market. Before the war, the market grows stays stably and strongly in value and shrink in volume. Growth in value was dictated mainly by price increase due to the expensive products, especially procured in the centralized state procurement segment. Shrinking in volume is explained more with the assortment changes. Old Soviet, so-called Soviet product, they left the market and substituted with the modern ones. For example, like, if you had to use previously 3 pills of antihypertensive products per day, now it's just 1 pill per day. That is happening in the market. And we have compound average growth rate in volume for last 5 years, minus 7%. And in value, it is plus 8%, which is rather good for developed emerging markets. During the war period, the latest dynamic is different. Of course, the war affected strongly to the whole market dynamic. And we have the first months of the war, market dropped significantly. And only in May, June, the latest is stabilized on the certain level. In volume, for the period of year to date until July, it dropped minus 28%. And for the war period, March till July, it dropped minus 41% in volume. In value, it is minus 19% for year-to-date period and minus 30, 1/3 of the market for the war period, which is significant drop for that period. Stabilization of the market happened later this year in June and July period. Even in July, we fixed the first growth of the market, but market still did not reach the before war figures. Pharmaceutical market of Ukraine consists of couple of segments. It is retail segment, which is pharmacies, and it is the segment of state procurement, consists of couple of sub-segments. During the war, market share of the state procurement increased considerably due to the centralized procurement of oriented to cover war needs products. Products purchased in centralized channel of the state procurements had traditionally more expensive products, and mainly it was war essential ones. Reimbursement increased considerably even despite the war, because of the reimbursement list itself extends significantly, and we have rather successful reimbursement reform which taking place right now, despite the wartime. Corporations on the market, companies, they had a lot of troubles during this period. Since the war started, a lot of warehouses located near to Kiev, it is in Bucha, Gostomel, Irpin, they were destroyed and bombed out. And many market participants, wholesalers, producers, pharmacies, suffered significantly. They lost warehouses, they lost products. It happened not only to near to Kiev warehouses, but as well it is happening still now for Kharkiv. Kharkiv is well-known scientific and production center of Ukraine, where more than 50 producers, pharmaceutical producers, had facilities before the war. If we will look to the list of the companies, the first top 4 companies is local ones, which is traditional situation in Ukraine. But as well, what is important to underline, that some companies improved position in the wartime significantly due to antihypertensive and hypnotic and sedative products, which had strong demand in the country. Local producers, we have very strong local producers in Ukraine, which traditionally the market share of local and import producers are rather stable. We have the most facilities from local producers are GMP certified, and country is a member of PIC-S countries for many years. As you may see, during the wartime, the market share of local companies fluctuated and was not stable as before the wartime. And at the beginning of the war, due to logistic problems, market share of local companies increased rather significantly. At the same time, afterwards, in May and July, it dropped down as well very strongly. And now, these days, it is stabilized at the level of 70 to 70 in volume and 37 in value, which is rather good and almost the same like it was before wartime. If we will look to the foreign companies, leaders of the market are mainly companies from Germany, India, France, and Switzerland. China gained market share last year and this year due to COVID vaccine procurement by the Central Channel of Ukraine. Foreign companies are rather strong in anti-neoplastic products, anti-infective products, orphan disease products, and respiratory system, as you may see in this graph. Important to say a couple of words about pharmacies and what happened to the point of sales during the war. If before the war we have total number of retail point of sales approximately 20,000, it dropped significantly from the beginning of the war until up to 13,000, minus 35%, which is a lot. Main shortage are found in small cities located in former and current war zones, of course. You can see this significant drop of number of point of sales since the beginning of the war. However, number of point of sales for the moment is more or less not that critical. Most of small chains and individual pharmacies, they close temporarily or completely for the moment. Let me show you the list of leading pharmaceutical chains in the Ukraine. We have a lot of chains in the country that gain a huge market share in volume and value and in numbers. The biggest national chains, Osan or Gamma 55, lost and dropped significantly since the beginning of the war because it has a lot of point of sales in the war zone. At the same time, due to the internal migration of population, Western Ukrainian chains gained market share and even increased its presence in the country. From other side, we can see that still the number of point of sales is small. I would like to underline that we have a concentration of the market, and the top 15 point of sales, they have 67% of the market share in value, which is a lot already. Couple of words about wholesalers, distributors on the market. In the retail segment, we have a strong presence of three main wholesalers: Badm, Optima, and Venta, which covers the almost 80% of the whole retail market. During the wartime, some of wholesalers, they suffered strongly from the lossage of warehouses. And because of the logistic problems, they lost the market share and presence in the top three. You can see that the situation changed and Optima became number one among all the companies in the retail segment. Badm lost its position currently. Venta has Russian capital inside of the ownership, and it was nationalized during this period. It's still number three in retail segment, among retail segment. In the hospital, we have a different picture, and in the centralized in the hospital procurements, Badm is number one with the name STM. It is very important to track the position of wholesalers because we have a very strong concentration of them on the market. I would like to underline important changes that happened recently in the legislation zone of Ukraine. Cabinet of Ministries of Ukraine approved inclusion of pharmaceutical industry itself to the priority branch of the industries of national economy, which will bring strengthening of position of local manufacturers among all others. And for sure, we expect state support of the industry by the state. The latest event as well was the approved of the law on medicines, which happened recently. There are a couple of things which are important and unify legislation and regulation with European Union. Facilitation, registration, and market authorities for products registered in European Union will become easier, and it opens perspective for local Ukrainian manufacturers to enter European Union zone. I would like to say that Ukrainian pharmaceutical market, despite this turbulence of the war, is still rather attractive and interesting. The territory and the number of population is huge. The opportunities are here, and the local manufacturers, they have a strong and very good production, GMP certified. Let me say a couple of words about SMD just to understand who we are. We work for 20 years on the market. and do market research and consulting for post-Soviet countries. As you may see, there is a list of countries itself. We will be happy to support you with qualitative and quantitative researches for this territory upon your request. Let me sincerely thank you for your time and opportunity to share this information. We will be happy to answer your questions and support you with data and consultancy in this territory. Thank you very much.
Iryna, thank you. Lots of useful and interesting information is for me. Don't miss the chance to get in touch with Iryna. And next, I invite Anatoliy Reder, director of the INTERCHEM company. Anatoliy, you have a very creative topic of your speech. If I'm not mistaken, if you are going through hell, keep going. Pharmaceutical business in the face of real force majeure. I'm very excited to hear it and won't take your time anymore. Go ahead.
So I will introduce you our company INTERCHEM, one of the players of Ukrainian pharmaceutical market so far. So the company was founded in nearly at the same time as Ukraine, just 1 year later, on 11th of December 1992. So we started from academician science. We were just a few postgraduates which were trying to find any solution to support themselves and their families with the sort of activity which we were able to do. We're not able to do some primary activity like so many people around where we're trying to do in order to survive in a quite difficult post-fall of the Soviet Union time. So we were concentrated, targeted to be efficient from the point of view of what we were graduated to do. So we started from the production of APIs past in 92, and then in 2003 we just realized that very many APIs which we were producing were used by different pharmaceutical producers, and decided we were able for those time to make research for new APIs, to sell these APIs, and because of the reality of post-Soviet Union time, we had to realize the finished drugs which were produced from our APIs in order to get the money to continue our business, our production. In fact, we were able to do everything except one thing, production of finished drugs. Since 2003, we started to do even this part of the whole circle, and built a new factory on the base of just simple land, starting from nothing. And since 2003, we're not producing only the APIs, but also the finished drugs. We were quite sufficient on the very beginning, and we had quite a high level of productivity, and by the end of 2006 we just faced the situation where we were not able to produce enough products which were requested by the market. Since those in 2007 we made a first enlargement and multiplied the power of our production 4 times, and started in a very short time to produce much more finished drugs. Then we just realized that the next step of enlargement of our production should be done a little bit in advance, and we started in 2012, we started the new enlargement, which cost us approximately 50 million euros, and we finished enlargement of finished drug production and the API production, either in both in 2016 and 2017. In fact, we are the company of the complete circle of pharmaceutical activity. We may start from the analyzing the market, finding the products which could be of interest. We may make a research on the basis of APIs, which is necessary for this production. We were able to do the API production, and then from APIs we have a full capacity laboratory to produce the finished drugs after that. And then, of course, we have a quite a heavy marketing department, which are dealing with the market and trying to settle our products on the market in Ukraine so far. So from the very beginning of our activity, we were based or we were targeted to be in full compliance with European GMP rules. And as I mentioned already, we built our production on the basis of just simple land and raised the building and everything inside in a very strict accordance with all European GMP rules. We're dealing with very many top known producers of the equipment from all around the world, from Europe mainly, from United States, and we have sort of high-end production of finished drugs. Of course, we are trying to settle the most modern technological efforts in our production, and we're doing different technologies which are very new on the market, very new in the technology of production of finished drugs. For now, we are able to produce up to 1 billion tablets, approximately 100 million sachets, and we may produce up to 10 metric tons of different APIs, which we mainly utilize on our own finished drugs production, but some of them are sold on the market too. So from the very beginning of our business activity, and taking into consideration that we were born in academician science, we were very much focused on the original products. And since the beginning of our activity, we introduced on the market 4 different molecules, which were not drugs before we introduced them on the market. Moreover, we were quite efficient, and 2 of these 4 molecules for the last, let's say, 5-7 years are in the top 30 or even top 20 of the range on the local Ukrainian markets. These are antiviral product, which we called Amexin, and anxiolytic product, the day tranquilizer Gidazepam. So we have 2 more molecules, one of which is more new and develops very well so far. So this molecule is only 3 or 4 years on the market and showing growth up to 20-25% annually. We are now on a stage of introducing the new molecule for the market. This one would be the painkiller, and we are going to introduce this molecule in 2 different ways. One is so-called international European, another one is local. On the local activity, we are approaching now, we are nearly in the nearest 1 or 2 weeks, we're starting the 2nd clinical phase. On the international level, we completed already the preclinical data and starting to discuss with a few European companies the how to going forward for the 1st phase in Europe. as you can see on this graph, our original products, which are our main activity, they are the main part of our portfolio, of our turnover, which showing the success of introducing the new original molecules on the local market. So the war, that's the most difficult and most tragic part of what I wanted to say. Nevertheless, we didn't believe the war will start. We were more or less prepared, unfortunately, for the problem and madness which at long last appeared and at long last started. So we made quite a few efforts to enlarge the residues of our raw materials. We had in mind the possibility to save our people, to offer them the possibility to be on a safe places and to continue the work. To be very honest, the most tragic and most difficult time was the few first days of this war. So to make a decision to continue the production and to be on the market in the first few days was really extremely difficult decision, because on the balances where the lives and prosperity and safeness of the people from another, side of these balances, where the necessity of our products to support the military and the normal people in the country. So from the second week of the war, we started to work 7/24, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And I just remember on the very beginning of this madness, when 6 days a week I was in the office, and the 7th days I was trying to support the people in the production. And believe or not, I was bringing the flowers just to make some visual picture of trying to support verbally by flowers, whatever, by whatever, just to be with the people. But we succeeded from the very first days of the war to support hospitals of Ministry of Defense of Ukraine with quite a substantial amounts of different drugs, which were very much requested on the very beginning of the war and still very much requested by military. At the same time, the demand on our products are very high, or from the normal people, and we're trying to be in time to support all the distributors and pharmacy shops in this quite a difficult time. We are supporting not only the military, but quite a few communities which were in a difficult situation during the beginning of this war and the continuation of this war. So we were quite successful to support even the people who were in occupation. Somehow God helped us to do so as well. That's some pictures how it was done. I mean, we are the part of big country which trying to be in this world, trying to be together, trying to succeed, trying to win. Nevertheless, we don't have any other chance to survive than to win. And we all, with all our hearts and with all our people and with all our efforts, we're pretty sure we will win, and the peace will come back to our country, and the business will follow the normal stream, which we pretty sure will be very positive. The only way for us is not to stop, just to go further through the hell towards the better days, towards the brighter pictures, towards the peace and prosperity, which we are absolutely sure will follow very soon. That's it. And if you need any contacts, that's all the contacts of our company, which are in Ukraine, with Ukraine, and believe in Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Anatoly, thank you for the presentation that was shared with our audience about the company news regarding the release of new molecule. We wish you luck with it, and I am talking to audience, so don't miss the chance again to meet Anatoly during the CPHI in person. Keep in touch, and we are going further, and I invite Volodymyr Kostiuk, CEO of Farmak.
Dear colleagues, dear partners, I'm honored to speak out to you today. Thank you so much, CPHI organizers, for this opportunity. However, I wish the occasion was different. Now, due to the full-scale Russian military invasion, the whole world is aware of Ukraine. Of course, it would be much more pleasant to talk about innovations or possible international cooperation and projects, rather than about problems that healthcare system and pharmaceutical industry is facing at the moment. On the other hand, in any ways, I'll tell you about the prospects, as Ukrainians are optimists and real hard workers, and we have a lot to offer. But before the positive part about the future, let's take a glimpse into what's going on the domain of pharmaceutical healthcare and pharmaceutical markets, and identify the problems that are still in place here. So, 24th of February 2022, yes, we were preparing. We had a multi-scenario business contingency plan that actually mitigated the majority of risks. And yes, we realized the hazard hanging in the air. But finally, no, we were not morally ready to wake up from the bombing of Kiev on the day the big war started. Probably no one could ever be comprehensively ready for a situation like this. So the worst of possible scenarios came through. In the first weeks, we had to suspend manufacturing of medicines at our sites, as the situation was completely unclear. We estimated the whole range of security issues before taking this decision. However, in the beginning of March, we have already restored our production activities, as Ukraine was at the edge of unprecedented collapse in the system of distribution of medicines. In the first weeks of war, up to 90% of drugstores around Ukraine were closed. At the moment, around 900 objects of healthcare facilities were damaged or destroyed. Also, there was a real challenge with the import of both medicines and raw materials, such as API or primary packaging, due to the lack of airport and seaport options. Some of distributors' warehouses were shut down. Moreover, our own big warehouse in Kiev region was blocked by Russian military forces since the day one of invasion. And later on, it was completely destroyed in the beginning of March. We had zero chance to save anything there, including finished products, packaging, and other components. That caused the losses of $50 million, but that didn't stop us. Pharmaceutical manufacturers, Ministry of Health, distributors, drugstores mustered up their strengths and remained operating as effectively as maybe never before. We managed to cover both the change demand, like medicines for those who were wounded, and regular demand as medicines for patients with chronic diseases and others. We succeeded in finding new suppliers and alternative logistics. Given this opportunity, I would like to thank all of our partners and the partners of other Ukrainian producers for quick response and supplies, as well as for sometimes even prioritizing supplies to Ukraine due to the crisis that we are going through. Also, I would like to thank all of you for the humanitarian aid and other type of support and donations in favor of all people impacted by the war in Ukraine. So in a couple of months since the full-scale military aggression happened, the system of healthcare managed to overcome the majority of issues and prevent the shortage of medicines in Ukraine. However, some of the problems still remain. Among those key issues are following. Due to the social and economic crisis, significant decrease of purchasing capacity of population and devaluation of national currency, there is a problem with rising prices. The Ministry of Health is recommending manufacturers to hold the prices on the pre-war level. We also realize that increasing prices would negatively impact the access of Ukrainians to the medicines. Manufacturers in Ukraine heavily dependent on foreign supplies of API, components, and packaging. So please consider these circumstances when dealing with Ukrainian producers of medicines. Also, we are aware of all the policies that our partners might have in place in terms of full prepayment of supplies to the country in the state of war. But this approach is simply washing off our financial means aimed to pay taxes and salaries in Ukraine. Another big issue is logistics. The airports and seaports are still not functioning in Ukraine. The trucks are making 20 kilometers lines in front of Ukrainian border. And the last but not least, some of restriction on export and import operations related to withdrawal of currency from the country. On the other hand, we managed to adapt to the new rules and we are able to cover all the international expenses and invoices in time. There might be other smaller challenges, but in general, everything is working effectively at the moment, especially given the war context. I'm proud to assure you that we are stable in our operations and actually have become even stronger. Farmak has launched a brand new manufacturing line for nebules to produce medicines for patients with bronchial asthma. In May, in the middle of war. Also, we have received a new loan from European Bank of Reconstruction and Development worth 20 million euros. We remain a trustworthy and reliable partner despite the situation in the country. We are able to sustain both local and international supplies of our production and products. Moreover, the pharmaceutical manufacturing was recently recognized as a priority industry, so the state is going to grant support to such companies in the first place. And now it is time to pass on the opportunities of mutual beneficial cooperation with Ukrainian manufacturers and international partners. As you may know, Ukraine has developed the Reconstruction Plan 2032 that includes an essential clause on pharmaceutical production. It provides a number of incentives to stimulate the development of the industry. How do we see the advantages of cooperation with Ukraine in the field of manufacturing of medicines? There are some points, like first, geographical location of Ukraine. Shortening of supply chains, Ukraine might become the supplier of API and generic drugs to the market of US and European Union. And friendly logistics and diplomatic ties form a favorable background for expanding export to the MENA region and for international manufacturers. Second is significant potential in chemical and pharmaceutical field. Option of development API production in Ukraine, integration into European Union and US drug production and supply chains. Availability of properly settled industrial parks for the production of chemical and pharmaceutical products. Availability of human and educational resources in the API industry. The third is significant production capacities. There are about 120 pharmaceutical companies in Ukraine. According to the UN data, approximately 5.5 million Ukrainians are listed as refugees. Ukraine can provide them with medicines abroad. Once now, it has surplus production capacities. Given the above said, here are following options for further cooperation. First is contract manufacturing for international producers of medicines and transfer of new technologies and maybe production of innovative pharmaceuticals. Integration of Ukraine into reduced supply chain through API production for the needs of European Union and US. Guarantee of uninterrupted supply of generic medicines. And conducting clinical trials in Ukraine to replace the Russian market, where there are now suspended by most of international companies due to the sanctions against the aggressor country. To conclude, I would like to finally highlight the potential of leading Ukrainian pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies are among the leaders in Ukraine economy in terms of investment in R&D. 48% of pharmaceutical enterprises in Ukraine are investment active. The manufacturing, laboratories, and R&D complexes of the key enterprise are equipped by the world's leading manufacturers. The majority of domestic market leaders have their own R&D centers, as well as necessary experience in contract manufacturing and tech transfer from major international pharmaceutical companies. Obtained proper GMP certification from EU regulatory authorities, and also release about 20 new products per year on average each. Thank you once again for this opportunity to talk about the state of things in healthcare system and industry of medicine production in Ukraine in the times of war. And thank you for all of your support. Looking forward for the future in close cooperation with the international partners.
Volodymyr, thank you. Good luck in your beginnings, and special thanks for the video set. No more words to add. You definitely have touched the heart of everybody. But we should move by our agenda, and I am pleased to give the spot to Mykhailo Renskyi, Director of Development Department of Lekhim Company. Greetings, Mikhail.
Dear pharmaceutical community, manufacturers of finished dosage form, API, R&D companies, manufacturers of excipients, manufacturers of lab and industrial equipment, and other utilities, and other mean requirement for development, investigation, production, quality control, and support of medicine. Lekhim Pharmaceutical Company, its main company, a part of group pharmaceutical company Lekhim, located in Ukraine. It would like to welcome you. At the present, Lekhim was founded in 1992, includes the mother company and 4 enterprises, with 3 of them being production manufacturers with their location in Ukraine. One of main leaders, Lekhim Kharkiv, is located in city Kharkiv. It is East Ukraine, which and manufacturer of finished pharmaceutical products included sterile solution for injection, soft and hard dosage forms. Also, our manufacturing technology located is very heart of Ukraine. It's the central Ukraine Cherkasy region in the city Uman. A completely new production has been located in near our capacity, our capital Kiev, in the city of Obukhov, and call it Lekhim Obukhov. Today, Lekhim group of pharmaceutical companies involves very diverse production of medicine products, such as tablets, suppositories, solution for injections, drug, capsules, oral solution, solution for internal and external use, and other finished pharmaceutical products. Nowadays, we have a very modern production, and all our facility very modern, and almost 1,000 employees work in our company. Lekhim group of companies have a very powerful potential, and today we keep on working under very difficult conditions in matter of lab. And aggression against Ukraine caused by Russian Federation. Our enterprise has not stopped its activity for a single day and continues work. In general, over the past 5 years, our sales increased several times. In 1990 and 1991, the annual sales volume made more 50 million euros. Very powerful investment have been made over the past few years, and we increased double the production capacity of our enterprises in Ukraine. You see our all steps, our increase and our involving of this process stage of our company is very good company, and company have very good potential now. At the present of group, pharmaceutical companies includes all stage of elaboration and development of finished pharmaceutical products, currently based directly at our manufacturing sites, at our representative products production plants. Lekhim keeps on improving up-to-date advanced technologies, and today we have very high quality. And usually we produce generic medicines, and they are in great demand not only in Ukraine and also for abroad. Today we have very high ranks in certain position in Ukraine. It is number one of manufacturing of enzymatic drugs. It is number one of the manufacturing of soft dosage form in the form of suppositories. It is number one among Ukrainian manufacturers in manufacturing of pellets forms. We are also among top 10 manufacturers of antibiotics in Ukraine. In general, Lekhim are among the most powerful manufacturing located in Ukraine. Our production facility include various dosage forms. We have a good, very high potential for production ampoule products. There are ampoules of small volume, the production on which located in city Kharkov. We have extraordinary capacity, more than 2 billion tablets and more than 500 million capsules of solid dosage form on our enterprises in technology in Uman. We have very good potential now for manufacturing dosage form in the form of sachet for manufacturing for oral solution and external and internal use. We constantly increase our potential, improve our production facility, and already this year we are going to launch production of finished dosage form in the prefilled synergy, which is currently located in city Kharkov. We also made great progress as regards of our R&D, dosage form and therapeutic groups of a very wide spectrum that we manufacture today. At the present, we have registration about 250 finished dosage form in Ukraine, which take their worldly position and have a good competitive price at the Ukrainian and international market. Today, Lekhim also great achievement regarding realization of export opportunity. Nowadays, we have registration in European country, CIS country, South Asian country, and other regions. In general, today we export more than 35 countries of the world. Our capacity and technical potential are large as regards improvement of all requirement technological techniques in relations to manufacture of finished pharmaceutical products. We use constantly new capacity, which we introduce practically every year or every 2 years. In general, During the last 2 years, about $5 million were investment in R&D laboratories, equipment requirement for other sorts of the development of solid and liquid dosage forms. Like the entire Ukrainian pharmaceutical industry, we have appropriate certification and high quality standards confirmed at the moment in European inspectorate from the respective European countries, and pre-qualification of medicine product according to WHO program. It is turn such improvement help us to expand export, expand our potential in our other countries. Today, we would like to have more interaction, collaboration, good relationship with European companies and distributors. We are also to open for contract production in the territory of Ukraine. Of main goal, after all, it's to be fully implemented in the European market today, because Ukrainian is Europe, European value and European quality, and this quality is constant, high. That means all European standards, even under the condition of matter law, and war in fact enacted today against Ukraine, we keep on working and making new medicine products. We currently have more than 20 generic molecules in our portfolio, which we develop and prepare for registration. We continue to carry out all the necessary export activities in order to support not only our enterprises and our employees, but also we support Ukraine and Ukrainian people on the whole. Therefore, it is very important for us to hear and see support from the European partners, from EU in general, because today we have only one road. And this road is related on the policy regarding quality, production culture, pharmaceutical standards, and environmental protection, and all other requirements urgently requirement for production today. They are closely related to European value, European high standards for the manufacturing of finished pharmaceutical forms, and the need to participate in the pharmaceutical market. We are grateful for this opportunity to present our company. We are grateful to all participants and audience, as well as observers and everyone who finds time and opportunity to see our presentation. I would like to remind you once again that Lekhim keeps on working, provides a lot of social support to the Ukrainian people, and the Ministry of Health included the safety programs. We work today and ask you to support us, to have been enduring this period difficult for Ukraine. In our turn, we will make our the best to ensure the Ukrainian has always been and will continue to be. So thank you again. Glory to Ukraine.
Thanks, Mykhailo, and good luck with the projects during such a challenging period. Our editorial office also doesn't stand aside since the war has started. And together with our like-minded partners from the Ingenium Group company, we created the charity fund Industrial Community of Ukraine, which takes care of medical institutions and educational process. Here on the slides, I quickly go through already existing projects, and just to mark up that we take care about the clinical hospital number 6 in Kiev, and thanks to the partner of our magazine, we already have delivered equipment for first aid departments and operating rooms for this hospital. And also just last week, we have awarded a scholarship for 2 students of the National Pharmaceutical University. All of you are very much welcome to contribute to our fund. As a speaker for online webinars for students with variety specializations or with fundraising. Here are our contacts. Thanks to all participants of our marathon. Thank you for the unity of our pharmaceutical sector. Don't miss the chance and pay attention to the list of Ukrainian participants of the in-person event that takes place in November 1st in Frankfurt. And don't forget to book a meeting with our speakers, with other representative of Ukrainian company or with me. So in conclusion, given that there is a war going on in Ukraine, problems exist. But if you compare the situation now and at the end of February, beginning of March, we will see a big difference that thanks to government support and the unity of pharmaceutical companies, huge steps forward have been made. So the pharmaceutical industry is recognized as priority branch for investments. Simplifying of pre-qualification procedure for Ukrainian manufacturers. Government has launched supporting programs for relocation of production sites if it is needed, as well as for export possibilities. Development of industrial parks with special conditions for the equipment import, and so on and so on. It's just a few steps which just appeared in my mind. We believe that Ukraine is going to be innovation hub for different industries and especially for pharmaceuticals, thanks to our geographical location and as well as the fact that we have enough production facilities that have European certifications. I hope that when the war is over, we will learn many valuable lessons and have a new impulse to develop and build a new, better life. We will have economic growth and united society. Now the whole world knows and talk about us. And we won't miss this chance to make a worthy statement about ourselves and build a real country of our dreams, where all the Ukrainians will live with dignity and happiness. Because one of our main resources is people, and it's our main driver to victory and successful future. So see you on November 1st in Frankfurt and stand with Ukraine.